What?
It's out!
What?
It's out.
Wait, you got it out?
I got it out.
Oh, you got out the
Yeah.
Nice. So we had plans to go out this 3-day weekend, but instead it looks like we're going to be doing a motor mount replacement on the Astro van. It's a pretty big project from what I have heard, what I have read. I'm feeling a little bit intimidated by it, but I also think it's something that I can do, and so we're going to give it a shot. Done a little bit of research, watching a lot of YouTube videos. This is ultimately going to become another motor mount video for an Astro van, but I think I might have a couple of different things to offer that might be useful. So we're gonna create one. Y'all like build videos anyway, so that's what we're gonna do. So the first thing you got to do is determine, do you need motor mounts? The reality is if you have an Astro van that's more than 15 years old, you probably need motor mounts. It's definitely a good idea to get underneath there and take a look and see what you got going on and make sure that your motor mounts aren't bad, because that motor rocking around in there can do some pretty significant damage to where you may end up having to, the job may be bigger. I'm hoping that mine isn't, but we're going to find out. According to the mechanic that I had do the cooling system in this, he says they're pretty bad. So we're going to see. So you want to determine whether or not your motor mounts are bad, and there's a couple of things you can do. You can get underneath there and visually inspect your motor mounts, but that's only going to be evident if you can actually see where the motor mounts are deteriorating, and they're pretty hard to see. They're tucked in there. You're going to see when we get ready to start diving into this. They're tucked in there pretty far and not real super easy to get to. But you can, especially if you have an all-wheel drive van, you can look at where your oil pan is sitting in relation to your front differential and your front axle. Mine actually isn't resting on the axle, so I'm hopeful that it's going to be pretty good, but there's very, very little clearance. So as that engine is moving around and rocking around and bouncing around in there, it is actually making contact with the axle and starting to wear on the oil pan, which is a very, very bad thing. You don't want that to be happening. So we're gonna get in here, we're gonna swap them out. I got some mounts, or some motor mount shims from Journeys Off-Road. We're going to get those put in there. Hopefully, if the OEM mounts are still good, and I'm hoping there's still OEM mounts in here, if they're still good, we're going to reuse those and put some Prothane bushings in there. If not, I may have to try and find some OEM mounts so I can use the Prothane bushings, because it really sounds like that's the preferred bushing to have in these things, because most of the aftermarket motor mounts, and that's all you can get now, is aftermarket motor mounts. You can't get OEM anymore. Most of the aftermarket motor mounts are just junk. They don't last long, and so these Prothane bushings have a really good track record for holding up and being durable, and that's what we want to do. We want to put the best into this thing. So let's dive into this and give it a shot. Now, I'm going to do some things that I might not have to do, but I'm going to do some things to try and make the job as easy on myself as I can. Some things I haven't seen other people do, but there's a couple of things about changing your motor mounts that are an issue, which makes this a really tough job. One is access. The other is visibility. I haven't seen anybody talk about taking the fan shroud out of the engine bay to work on the motor mounts. It doesn't seem like it's something that's really necessary to be able to gain access to it, but what it will do is it will give me light into the engine bay where I can see what I'm doing better. So we're going to pull out the fan shroud. I'm going to also pull out, I saw one guy had pulled off the inner firewall liners, because he has a lifted van also. Sounds like that helps give you better access to your motor mounts. So I'm going to pull off my inner firewall shrouds, pull the front wheels off. Anything that I can do to get me better access to it, that's what we're going to do. So we will revisit this at the end of the video to determine how many of these things were helpful and how many of these things were just extra work we didn't need to do. But that's where we're at. So you ready to dive into this, dude?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So because I'm going to put the van up on jack stands, I'm going to get all of the top side stuff done that I can. I'm going to get the battery disconnected because we're going to remove the starter, and I'm going to pull the fan shroud out and get all that pulled up out of the way so that I don't have to try and get up in here when the van's lifted up on jack stands. Put this thing back on. Let me put this back together. Okay, so the view from the top, first of all, make sure we got the battery disconnected. And then I've gotten the fan shroud out. And so what we're looking for, or where we're trying to get, and where if you're trying to visually inspect your motor mounts, that's it right there. Hang on. Won't focus. Right there. There we go. Now it's focused. There's the driver's side motor mount right there. And by getting the fan shroud out of the way, I actually could probably get to that bolt easier, possibly from up here, although that's quite a long reach. We'll probably get to that from the underside. Over on the passenger side, it's a little bit more tucked away in there, but that's the corner of it right down there. Yeah, kind of hard to get the camera angle in there, but that's what we're looking for, is right down in there. But you can see that what this has done is it has let a lot of light in here, so we can see, we'll be able to see better what we're doing once we get down there. Okay, well, it took some doing, but we got one of them out. This is the passenger side one, and I'm really happy that this is an OEM motor mount. So that means we're going to be able to take this apart and put in the Prothane bushing. So we'll be able to reuse the same housing. We're just going to put the Prothane bushing in there. So what I got to do first is I got to drill out these rivets. Got to drill those out so we can get this apart and get the old bushing out, get the new one in. Okay, morning of day 2. First day was a pretty frustrating day. The people that have said that this is a really challenging project were not kidding. We ran into some issues trying to, we actually almost gave up on it twice. We ran into some issues getting some bolts out. Found that if we just kind of stepped back from it for a few minutes and jumped back in, we were able to kind of look at it from a different perspective and get the bolts that we needed out. I'm going to show you that here in a few minutes. The Prothane bushing actually worked out pretty well. It fit into the OEM housing perfectly, Everything was going super smoothly until we put the mount in, lowered the engine down on it, and it turns out that some of the reviews that I've read were true, that the tab on the bushing is actually not properly aligned with the hole on the mount. Thank you. This tab here is not properly aligned with this hole, and so when we lowered the engine down onto the mount, this hole would not allow the screw hole to line up. I'm going to show you that underneath here in just a minute. But so what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to modify this a little bit so that we can get this up there and have the engine mount sit on that tab like it's supposed to, but also have that hole line up with this so we can get the bolt into it. So that's our challenge for today. We've only got one side even started. We haven't even started on the driver's side yet. We've been working on the passenger side. So it is a challenging project. We've also given ourselves the entire 3-day weekend to get it done. So are we moving slower than we could? Maybe. But you'll see when we get down in there, some of these screws or some of these bolts, you get an 1/8 of a turn on it, flip the wrench over, get an 1/8 of a turn on it, flip the wrench over. We got 3 of them to do. And we've now done that 3 times. So we're going to do it a 4th time because we got to take that mount out so we can modify the bushing. So good times. Yeah, this is definitely a fun project to do, but it's going to be, once it's done, it's going to be worth it. So I'm basically just going to take about half of the width of this tab off. Okay, so I wanted to show you this anyways. This is the Prothane bushing inside of the OEM housing. And I've seen a couple of people online who have said that they had to really carve down the Prothane bushing to get it to fit in their housing. And the reason for that is you're probably not using an OEM housing. A lot of the aftermarket housings out there are much, much smaller than these. It's actually a video by Mark, I don't remember his last name, but I'll put a link to it, where he talks about the difference between the Prothane bushings and the aftermarket bushings. You can't get OEM bushings anymore. They don't make them. You can't get them anywhere. You got to go to a wrecking yard to get the housing if you don't have one already. But then you can put the Prothane bushing in there. And apparently you put the Prothane bushing in an aftermarket housing too. You just got to do a lot of modification on it. So way better to use the OEM housing. Now, I'm going to show you the difference between that is what the original tab looks like on there, okay? Where your motor mount rests on that tab, okay? And then the bolt goes through the hole. I've had to modify it to be significantly smaller, okay, because this tab in this position, at least on my mounts, does not allow the bolt to go in the hole, so I had to take a little bit off of it. We're gonna hope that that works. Okay, when they said that the driver's side was harder, they weren't kidding. That was perfect timing, Haley. That lower motor mount bolt right there on both sides is the booger. Man, it is so hard to get to. And this one was just exactly the same as the other one was. And again, we almost threw in the towel. We almost said, this is too hard for us. We can't do it. Thank God for Haley's small hands to be able to get in there and turn that bolt. She's going to get it out.
Yeah.
And we're going to win.
We will win.
We're going to win, Haley.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there are any boys watching this, Haley thinks she deserves a boyfriend after this. He'd be a pretty lucky boy, I'll tell you. She can turn it. She can turn a wrench.
Yeah.
She, as you can tell, she's not afraid to get dirty either.
No, I'm not.
Doodle is the star, man. I'm telling you, she's the dude. She earned that dude title today.
I think it might be time to go up.
Think it might be what?
Time to go up.
Time to go up?
Up.
Up with what?
Up on the other side of the tube.
Oh, okay. It's getting high enough up.
I think so.
Should be getting pretty close. Can you turn it by hand yet?
No.
Oh, this one's gonna be tough. Anyway, I don't know if you can see her in there or not. I can't see her. Oh, there she is. So this is what this looks like.
Oh yeah. Got it all over my hand. It's probably all over my face too.
This is the hard one. When we get this one out of there, it's going to get easy after this. So we had to drop the drive line, and Journey suggested that we drop the differential and drop the sway bar, but that brand new hose I just bought was in the way of being able to do that. I just didn't feel like draining the radiator and going through all that, especially when all that stuff's still going to be in my way. Not sure I'm believing that. Teenager with small hands and nimble fingers. That's what you need for the job.
Oh yeah.
Haley's available for hire. Although I don't know if you could afford her after this. It's a good thing she loves this van as much as I do.
Right?
She takes just as much pride in it as I do. I really appreciate you wiping all that oil off of everything while you're down there.
Oh yeah, no problem.
That's doing a good job of cleaning things up down there.
Yeah. I got you. It's out.
What?
It's out.
What?
It's out.
Wait, you got it out?
I got it out.
Oh, you got out. Nice. That's the one we've been looking for. Right there. That's the hard one. Nice job. Way to go. How's that feel?
Margaret.
You know what you need now?
What?
You need a margarita.
Oh, yeah.
If only you were 21.
I'll settle for a Diet Coke.
Okay, want to show you this. This is an OEM bushing, or an OEM, this is an OEM engine mount, okay? So you notice that the edges on here are kind of squared. Most of the aftermarket engine mounts are completely round housings, okay? This is really important. But also notice that the factory bushing doesn't actually fill the gap. Now I don't know if maybe it did when they first came out. I mean, it's a 20-year-old bushing, so maybe it's shrunk down, but it's definitely worn out. Now, let me show you a propane bushing. This is why you need an OEM mount, because your propane bushing will drop directly in to your OEM mount, okay? It should go in super easy. If you're having to modify anything with your silicone, then it's not a good fit. It means you probably don't have an OEM mount. Now, when I put the bottom back on it, it's not going to fit down there snug. They give you bolts to tighten that down, and then that pulls everything together really snug and makes that bushing fill this entire engine mount. So there's no gaps or no movement in there. It'll stay put, and then that way the bushing can do its job, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in my vise, and I'm just going to kind of close it down, just put a little bit of pressure on it to where I can get the bolts through it, and then I'm going to use the bolts that they provide to pull that down snug. Okay, day 3, and I'm happy to announce the motor mounts are in. We just got to button up the last little bit of it, put the fender well liners on, and get the wheels back on, get it on all fours, and then we're going to get to hear it run. All right, all that's left to do now is start it up and see how it sounds. Fingers crossed. Haley, need keys. All right, give this a shot. Okay, so I do feel kind of a rumbly vibration, but not bad. I feel it mostly in the steering wheel. Let's go for a spin around the block. Oh, jump out, get the wheel chocks.
Oh, yeah. We might need those to be not there.
Fold your mirror out. There we go. I'm not hearing so much clunking.
Yeah, definitely not. It feels a lot smoother. It sounds a lot smoother. There goes the chairs. Dump their trash.
Did you put the trash cans out?
I did.
You did? Yeah.
It's a lot smoother.
Yep. Yeah, whatever the whole thing was about vibrations, engine vibrations with the Prothane mounts, I mean, I'm not really seeing it. I'm feeling a low, at idle, I feel a low vibration, rumbly vibration, but I can't say for sure that wasn't there before, you know?
Yeah.
Because I never really paid much attention to it. And now I'm like hyper-tuned. Like, oh, is that it? Is that the vibration they're talking about? Man, I don't know. I think it's good. What is missing was the loud clunk that I used to hear, and I'm now positive that was the oil pan hitting the hitting the axle. And now that we've got those new bushings in there, as well as the Journeys off-road bushings or shims in there, now that oil pan is sitting, it's a good solid inch off of the oil pan now. So yeah, there's no way that's going to be making contact off of that axle, or making contact on that axle now. So yeah, I think it's good. I'm still hearing some suspension noise in there, but I noticed when I was under that passenger side that I got a leaking shock. So I have a feeling that I've got a bad shock on that passenger side. Super easy to fix. I just need to find the right shock for it now, because now that we've done the lift, I think that the suspension travel on it, the travel on it is too long, because the top of the shock mount, I think the top of the shock mount is, no, it's not on the body. it just may need stock shocks. May need to be replaced. They may just be worn out. We have put these stock shocks through some pretty rough service, so maybe I need to go to something a little bit more suitable for the job. So I'll have to do some investigating on that. We'll probably be upgrading the front shocks on this thing pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. But I think with that, I think that this job is done. I think that the motor mounts on here are good now. Probably for as long as we're going to own the van anyway. As long as I'll be around. Those stock ones lasted 20 years. I mean, I hope I'll be around 20 years, but I probably won't be driving this van anymore. So, anyway, on to the next project. That I feel.
Yeah. That. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Is it the brake, maybe?
No.
Or is it something about the turn? Yeah.
It is. So when you do the power steering, okay, hold on. We found the vibration. When you're working the engine at idle. When you're working the engine at idle. So I'm cycling the power steering pump, and when I'm putting the engine under a load at idle, you really feel that vibration. Let's try the AC. So now I've got the combination of the power steering and the AC. It's working the engine a little extra hard, and now I'm feeling that vibration. But that's really it. As soon as you give it a little bit of throttle, it smooths right out. You know, I think I'm okay with that. I don't think that's hurting anything. I think that's the bushings doing their job. I think one of the things I've read is that somebody said that they're concerned that the vibrations that we may not even be able to feel could cause those bolts to loosen up. And I think that what I'm going to do with that is probably in 1,000 miles or so. I may even do it at the next oil change or something like that. That we just go in there and periodically just make sure that those motor mount bolts are tight. Yeah, that was the AC pump kicking on. So as soon as that AC pump kicked on, it kind of had a little vibration and then it quit. We're talking about a 20-year-old van with aftermarket parts. It's not gonna run the same, it's not gonna feel the same, but I think it's good. I think these motor mounts are good. I think I'm more than satisfied with them.
Good.
We'll check back in a few months.
I don't want to change them again.
Yeah, definitely not. If we got to change them again, the shop's going to do it. I don't want to do it again. Anyway, that's it for this adventure. Sometimes our adventures are on the trail, sometimes they're under the hood. So we'll see you on the next adventure. Bye.